everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about Wes Anderson's latest film, Asteroid City. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, lists, and podcasts, nothing helps this channel out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Asteroid City was released in June of 2023. It is directed by Wes Anderson. It was written by him and Roman Coppola, and this has a huge ensemble cast of actors, probably the biggest ensemble cast of actors that Wes Anderson has ever worked with, and just one of the most star-studded casts you could ever imagine. No role is wasted. This cast features Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, who probably have the biggest roles in this movie, Tom Hanks, Maya Hawke, Matt Dillon, Steve Carell, Margot Robbie, Willem Dafoe, Ed Norton, Adrian Brody, who all three of those have worked with Wes Anderson in the past, blink and you miss a Jeff Goldblum performance, and just plenty more roles filled by actors that you're going to recognize. So this movie had the really hard task of giving all of those actors somewhat of a role and letting those characters flesh out their performances, and Wes Anderson is perfect at doing that. There's a reason why so many actors are lining up to work with Wes Anderson, is because he just seems to know how to work with actors, and that's actually a big part of this movie in itself, because the movie is basically a movie within a movie. It starts off with Bryan Cranston, who's doing the narration for this movie. He's essentially our host. He's telling us what's going on. He's talking about this play, Asteroid City, that's being written by Edward Norton, and it's being directed by Adrian Brody. And then as they start explaining what the acts of this movie are, we even get title cards explaining like what each act of the play is going to be. And then as the acts begin, you know, we kind of go into a technicolor desert world. So I guess that kind of would be the film adaptation of this play, wouldn't it? So essentially we go into this world, this desert city called Asteroid City, and I mean, it is lit beautifully. And that's because it was done by natural light. So all the sets, they look like sets intentionally. It's probably, I've heard this film described as the most Wes Anderson movie that Wes Anderson has ever made. They are not wrong. It's got all the hallmarks of a Wes Anderson film. It just got this beautifully designed look to it. All the colors are chosen specifically. It's got this like faded Technicolor look throughout the entire time that the color sequences are taking place. Because when we see them making the actual play, that's in black and white with the Academy aspect ratio. So it's very much like a letterbox kind of look to it. And then we get that full widescreen look, almost like we're coming out of the Wizard of Oz into this beautiful asteroid city, a city that's basically got its name because it was hit by an asteroid. That's what it's most famous for. This city itself right now just happened to be pretty crowded at the moment. We get this junior stargazing group coming in, a bunch of smart science kids that are called Brainiacs, so they just happen to be in this town, and then Jason Schwartzman and his family happen to be in town at the same time because their car just broke down. The mechanic, played by Matt Dillon in a small role, is great. I hadn't seen Matt Dillon in a while. Car breaks down, so they're stuck there. Scarlett Johansson, who plays an actress in this movie, so she plays an actress acting in a play, and she also, her character herself actually happens to be an actress. So this movie is very meta in that sense, and she's there with her daughter. Jason Schwartzman character, he's a grieving widow. He just, you know, his wife just recently passed away, and he's having a hard time connecting with his kids ever since this happened. He's grieving himself. Scarlett Johansson's character, you know, she's a broken woman, as she explains, and the big core relationship of this movie is their relationship, and then everybody else is just doing their parts basically in a Wes Anderson movie. You know, Maya Hawke pops up in a really small role in this, and I absolutely loved her. She's going to become a star. I've said that since season 3 of Stranger Things, but she steals the little scenes that she's in. You know, you get Tilda Swinton again stealing the little scenes that she's in as well. She's worked with Wes Anderson a few times in the past, and she works perfectly with Wes Anderson. Tom Hanks, this was his first time working with him, and he does a great job in his small role as well. I mean, no role is wasted. That's one thing you could always say about a Wes Anderson movie, is every role has that distinct, direct delivery that all the characters are portraying. Everybody is doing that same kind of delivery that you've seen in other Wes Anderson movies, and that personally works for me. You know, where it's just very direct, you're saying exactly what is on your mind, and it's delivered in this monotone type of voice, and I absolutely love that. He's been doing that pretty much since Rushmore, but it really took off with the Royal Tenenbaums, and I really think that the Royal Tenenbaums is where Wes Anderson really found his style, and that's the style that he's been committed to ever since. That dollhouse look, that very clean look of his films, where he's just basically paying homage to the stuff that he loves in literature and in film, and I absolutely love that. But if you don't like that, you're probably not going to like this movie either. So if you're not a Wes Anderson fan, this movie absolutely will not work for you. Now, for me, this is not one of Wes Anderson's top 5 films in my opinion. This would probably fall in line at like number 6 or number 7, and as much as I enjoyed this movie, I really had a great time watching it, it does fall short in packing that emotional punch that that some of the great Wes Anderson movies do. Like for me, like Moonrise Kingdom and Rushmore really pack in that emotional punch that really get you feeling the emotions that the script is trying to portray to you. And I think they were trying to have that happen in this movie. It just didn't work for me in that sense, but it's still a great movie. I still walked out of that movie with a smile on my face, happy that I saw it. And Wes Anderson is also one of those rare directors working today that has his movies actually come in at like 2 hours or less, where he really knows how to use an editor. And it's because he works with a small crew. You know, these aren't like big crews working on this. He wants to work with as small a crew as possible, you know, just to get that intimate feeling of working with the actors. And again, that's kind of a big part of this actual story that he's trying to tell in Asteroid City. So I can really appreciate that. And I really have always dug his style. Even some of his worst movies, like The Darjeeling Limited, is still a movie I can go back and watch because I'm just a big fan of his work. And if you are a big fan of his work, you're going to really enjoy this film. And it's actually one of 2 films coming out this year because he has a 37-minute short film coming out on Netflix later this year, which is his second adaptation of a Roald Dahl novel after the Fantastic Mr. Fox. So I'm looking forward to that. And, you know, hey, we're getting spoiled with some Wes Anderson this year. So I could definitely recommend you guys check out Asteroid City as long as you're a fan of Wes Anderson films. And if you're not, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. But if you are, you are definitely going to be leaving that theater super happy. It's just another classic Wes Anderson film combining that perfect blend of drama and comedy with his own distinct style on it, and I promise you you're going to enjoy that as long as you're a fan of his work. So what would I give Asteroid City on a score of 1 to 10? I would give this a really solid 8.5 out of 10. Definitely check this one out. But guys, it's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. If you're new to the channel, we do this every single week. On Friday's video, I'll ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below, and as long as you do that, you come back to Monday's video. We put your name on a magic wheel. We spin that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And I figured in honor of Wes Anderson, I would ask you guys, what is your favorite Wes Anderson film? And like I said earlier, I know not everybody is a fan of Wes Anderson. I figured I would ask you guys, who is your favorite director working today? So, you know, obviously that's going to wipe off a bunch of directors who have since passed away. We're also talking about directors that are working today. So if they're retired, you know, that doesn't count either. But you know, I play fast and loose with the rules, and you guys can too. So just let me know, what is your favorite Wes Anderson film, and who is your favorite director working today? Leave those in the comment section below. And then don't forget to come back to Monday's video to see if you are our lucky winners. And anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy your weekend. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, sharing it with all your friends, and then just by simply going out, maybe to a local bar, and then telling them about us. We'll be seeing you around.